I need to be better at this project management tool. I need to, and that's their perception, is that because that's what the company encourages, right? That's what society encourages. It encourages us to work harder, put more hours in. Can we work, how many hours in the day, at weekends? And people are obsessed with that. And so we're kind of conditioned that if we just worked a bit harder, that's what's going to get us ahead. And the straight answer to that is it's not. It's going to get you to a level of being competent in your role, but that is not how you get ahead in the world, in your career, in building those relationships. And if you think back to my story about when James and I, when he kept the job and I didn't, that was an exact example of that. And it really was like, oh, okay, there's more to.
Yeah, it's kind of just at this point thinking, if we think thinking about where people are in their careers and things, and about conversations you have, and we'll talk a little bit later about your program that you've got and that sort of stuff. But in those sort of programs, what do you see as being the key things that people, the blockers that people have to moving their career forward? What maybe two or three things that you see almost every time? And I'm sure there are some common items where people just yeah, I can't do that because. Yeah.
So I think the two key blockers that come through are what we've described: people who think that the way to get ahead in their career is by working harder and by working hard. And actually, normally they're extremely competent at their job.
Yeah.
Their sort of attitude is, if I want to get any further, then I need to go and get this. I need to take this course. I need to be better at this project management tool. I need to, and that's their perception, is that because that's what the company encourages, right? That's what society encourages. It encourages us to work harder, put more hours in. Can we work, how many hours in the day, at weekends? And people are obsessed with that. And so we're kind of conditioned that if we just worked a bit harder, that's what's going to get us ahead. And the straight answer to that is it's not. It's going to get you to a level of being competent in your role, but that is not how you get ahead in the world, in your career, in building those relationships. And if you think back to my story about when James and I, when he kept the job and I didn't, that was an exact example of that. And it really was like, oh, okay, there's more to my job, more to me that I need to do and master than what I thought there was. And I think lots of people come into my world who are awesome at their job. And ironically, in a way, that the ones that are awesome at the job are less likely to be naturally doing the kind of promotion and getting visible, because they're focused on doing the job. So I think that's one of the key sort of indicators, and people who, and this is why the whole thing about career plateauing, because your career, if you work hard, your career sort of goes up and up and up. And then when you get to a more senior level, there's more things going on. And this is where the communication and the politics and the networking and all of that stuff comes in. And I think if
it moves it moves from transactional at those more junior roles to relationship, doesn't it?
Yes.
It's more do the work, get the work done. The most important thing about moving forward when you're in the more junior roles and more early roles is about getting a piece of work done, whether it's do a bit of code, do some financial spreadsheets, build a widget, and then that's what's the important thing. Manage that team of testers. You can see it, but then then as you get it up, it's about getting stuff done, which quite often is getting stuff done where you have no power, where you have no influence on the people other than those relationships, and you have to trade off and get other people to trade off things for you because you coordinate with other departments and things like that, and all that's there's and it. No one tells you it's changed. When you get promoted to another role. No one says, "Oh, it's changed now."
Communication layer, yeah. And the thing is,
so you're using the same tools.
Yeah, totally. And you're absolutely, no one tells you. I'm going to quote, I think that. And also the thing is when you're lower down, when you're more junior, being able to do the transactional piece better is what makes you better than the rest, right?
Yeah.
Now, once you get to that level where things change, where that you're getting to those management levels, and maybe it's project managers who aren't just project managers from a tactical sense, but they're a bit more strategic about how they input in the business. Really, the differentiator between, and to be perfectly direct, the differentiator is the communication layer. And if you think about the people you work with, people who can communicate are the ones that get better jobs, more pay, they get more strategic positions in the company. So actually that communication layer is the piece that gets you further up in your career. And I think to answer your question, what is it that gets in people's way and holds them back? Is it they don't get told that? I didn't get told that piece of information either. And you kind of suddenly work it out because you see other people going past you who you're like, they're not as good as me. They don't have as much experience as me. Why are they going past me, and how come? And it's a bit like the experience that I had when you suddenly go, oh, right. So once you get to this level in the company, the communication bit is the valuable piece. And it's not just, I'm not dismissing the project management or the deliverables or anything like that, but that gets you so far. And I think you have to recognize that as soon as you can, and then work out how do I do that in a way that means that I can influence and communicate in the workplace. And I think the other, to answer it's interesting because it's something that I've been focused on quite a lot recently, because there are patterns, as you say, patterns of people's coming in and the behavior is. I think also, and I'd love to do a proper scientific study of project managers. I'm sure I'll never get the time or the luxury to do it. But,
well, they probably won't have the time to talk to you.
but actually, I think there are sort of internal resistance. And what I see is that professionals who are good at their job are very competent about talking about their projects, their jobs, and what's going on. I can give you a budget update. I can tell you what we need to do. I can tell you what the next steps are. I can tell you what went wrong. I can tell you what the risk is. I can tell you what the resource requirements are. So they're very good at that functional, technical part of their job. The bit that they're not good at, and the bit that they're holding themselves back on, is being able to talk about themselves. Talk about themselves competently, talk about themselves in a way that is attractive to others, talk about themselves that means that they can position themselves so that they get those opportunities. I see it again and again and again. And I'm excited when I see these people come in to my work, because I'm literally thinking, you're awesome. You just need a few tweaks and then you'll be flying.
Yeah.
So that is the difference. It's that they can talk very competent. I work with some very sort of senior people who are very competent at their job, but they haven't got their heads around and grasped, and there is inner resistance. And I could sort of go into more detail about sort of the deep levels of why that resistance is there. But that resistance is there because they feel uncomfortable, and they might feel a bit cheesy about going, oh, I've got to go in and talk about myself and tell everyone about myself.
Yeah. I've heard that lots of times.
Yeah, and so actually working with professionals and giving them some tools and a system that they can follow so that they can go into those meetings and do it in a way that is comfortable and tactful, and they can do it confidently, is again where it's sort of like lighting the paper, and then they go, because
Yeah.
they are already very competent in their roles. It's exciting for
Yeah.
me anyway.
I can
Exciting for
see,
them
yeah,
as
because
well,
it is great when you see people that you've worked with and helped going on and taking their career on and beyond that. And I've been fortunate to have worked with quite a few people who have done really well
right? Yeah.
and moved on beyond me, and they are really good. And they were really good when I was working with them, and I think it was belief in themselves, and its belief is 9/10 of it. I wonder, just obviously I'm UK based, and we have a very British sensibility about our own worth, but I think, as you said, you've had a bit more of a broader career around the world with a lot of different types of people. Do you find that self-effacing, that kind of you shouldn't brag about yourself
It's very British.
attitude around the world, or do you find it very much in the UK?
I think there's differences in different. I think there are differences in different countries. So I definitely think
Yeah,
English, we are, we find it difficult to, or we don't like it, do we? We don't like anyone sort of, if we feel like they're blowing their own trumpet. And it's the same in Portugal, it's the same in South Africa. There are
right.
bits of places all around the world. In the States, they're conditioned to promote themselves from, I think, the age of 5, aren't they? They have to stand up and
Yeah,
say at school, I'm blah, blah, blah. So it depends on where you're from and what you're doing. And I think the important point to take away is that you don't have to. I think if you accept the fact that if you want to progress your career in the direction that you want it to go in, it is going to be part of what you have to do at work, like any other part of your job. But there are
yeah,
tools and strategies to do it in a way that isn't, sort of awkward and cheesy. And it's just following a system that enables you to do it comfortably and successfully in the working environment you're in. And in in the States, for instance, they expect you to do it, and if you don't sort of tell them all about yourself and what you're good at, they're kind of like, hold on a minute, why are they so quiet? What are they hiding?
yeah,
What are they,
yeah,
and there's a kind of lesson on cultural differences. But I think fundamentally, you have to make a decision to go, okay, if I want to stay where I am in my career for the rest of my life, fine, because I am where I am now is where I should be. The skills and the communication that I have is where I should be. But if I do want to go further and do more, I have to accept that I have to change the person I need. Who have I got to be? What are the traits and behaviors of those
yeah,
people that I have to have? And if you accept those principles, it comes back to sort of principles. If you accept those principles, that actually to get there, I have to take on other behaviors, and being able to talk about myself is one of those. That they're the sort of keys that unlock the door a bit to sort of progress faster. And I think what's great about it is it happens very quickly. It's not like you have to spend 5 years working out how
yeah,
to, you can do it very quickly. And then what happens is you go into conversations, and instead of feeling awkward or intimidated or uncomfortable, you're going in with a mindset of, what are the opportunities here for me?
yeah,
What else can I develop from these conversations and these relationships? So it's a shift for sure, and different cultures make different shifts. But once you kind of get that shift, sky's the limit. Sky's the limit.
yeah, yeah. And it's interesting because and I don't know if I spoke to you about this before. I seem to mention this every podcast. There's a behavioural model that I really like called the DISC model,
Yeah, I think
which is kind of a 4-quadrant model, I think. Yeah, and it you've obviously got the cultural layer, and then you've got that individual natural tendency layer, and you get people who will resist. They don't want to change. I've heard it say before. They don't want to change who they are. I can't change who I are, and I've recounted my story of that dealing with your little one when they step out into the road and you grab them and you use all of those behaviours, loop round them in quick succession when dealing with that situation. And when you do that, it's kind of that's how I challenge to people the fact that actually it's not about changing you, it's about changing what you do and
your behaviors, right?
yeah, and you have to draw on those different behavioral traits in those situations, and because you're consciously thinking about it, you become uncomfortable because that's not the person you are. But when you need to, you just do it, and it's kind of it's that thing where you can be someone who is quiet and reserved and wants to look after one, can be really loud and shouty if they need to be, and someone who is flaky and really good at making friends can be really detailed and calm and slow and steady and work stuff out when they need to be. And I see from what we're talking here, similar sort of things. There are things that maybe certain individuals' characters and then the culture built up would see that as some of these activities as being a little bit beneath them, a little bit dirty, and not being true to themselves. Is it, and that's and I feel that a little bit myself, although I'm quite happy chatting about myself because I quite like that subject. It's there is still, when you're talking about yourself's fine. When you're talking about yourself to try and promote, and you're trying to distill that information to someone, immediately it puts you in a different mindset. If you were chatting with someone you'd met at a pub and they just said, "Oh, what you been doing?" and you were talking exactly the same things, with no goal no prize in that conversation. When there's a prize in that conversation, you feel like you shouldn't do it. It's weird.
Yeah. So I get it. I get it. I think so the first thing that that we do with our clients is we take them through a system, and the first step of that system is decide. And that is because it sounds like a really obvious and simple thing, but actually, if you're really going to take the action that isn't what you're normally doing, because the results you get is what you're doing every day. You are where you are, and the results that you've got is because of the behaviors that you have.
Yeah.
So to change your behavior, it's like eating better, getting fit, whatever it is, to change a behavior, you need the tools and the system to be able to do it. The first thing you need to do is go, yep, this is absolutely decide on where I want to get to. And
it's a priority.
It's a priority, and it's also it's a goal, right? It's a goal. I want to be at this. I want to do this job, or I want to be these responsibilities. I want to be on that project. And I think once you make that decision, there is you absolutely have to make that decision, and it's got to be congruent 100%. And it might be at different stages in your career. I'm working with a client at the moment, and her she's senior, and her aspirations are to sort of change slightly the direction of her career and go up a level and actually become industry, communicate in the industry much more. And the first thing that we've gone through really is to say, are you absolutely 100% ready to do this? And I think once you make that decision inside of you, then you get momentum and things start, you start moving. And part of that step is to think, okay, so what are the traits and behavior? I don't have to sell my soul to some devil of self-promotion. What are the traits and behaviors of the people at that level, or the person or the job that I want to do? And if you think about, if you look in your company and you look at the senior managers, for instance, if that's where you want to get promoted to, their traits and behaviors and the way they communicate are going to be different to you. because A, your jobs are different, and B, you're at a different level. So if you want to get to the next level, you need to start demonstrating that you can communicate in that way. And funny enough, lots of the time when you start communicating and behaving in the way of the person that you want to be or the role that you want to have, it then becomes very natural, it becomes axiomatic that you like, oh yeah, okay, we're going to get Nigel to do that because he's already doing that already. He's already doing that job. He's already being that person. He's already leading that team. He's already communicating to the client in that way. So I think if you want to stay as you are in any walk of life and expect to make no changes to what you do and how you do and how you think and what's in your mindset and how you behave, then you're going to be trying for a very long time. And if you look at people who make New Year's resolutions, everyone's like, right, I'm going to be fit by March, and right, I'm going to stop drinking by May, and right. And why do I think it's like 93% fail? Because they haven't gone through that decision-making process and they haven't accepted and started implementing some of those strategies. And that's really part of the process. And the other thing, and people always say that, well, obviously English people, because I'm in London, the idea that I have to go in and tell people how awesome I am, there are ways of doing it. And one of the sort of, I give you a couple of strategies, just some of the ways that I help with the clients that I work with. So number one is when you're updating a senior manager on a project, you can make the update and you can use examples like, I think we need to add more resource to project X if we want to meet that deadline, because actually previously I worked on this other project and this is what happened. This is what I was responsible. These are the decisions I made. This is how we handled it. This is how we minimized the risk. And what you're doing is you're giving them the evidence of why you are recommending something. And for senior managers, they're not in the weeds watching everything.
Yeah.
They will be key things, key indicators that they're looking for. And they're looking for people who they can trust and know that you can deliver. And so when you're saying, look, I've already done this before 3 times. I worked on this client. We did this. That is music to their ears. It's not you self-promoting. They're like, oh, thank God, I can trust Nigel to do that. Yeah. I don't have to think about that. There's no risk there. So again, putting yourself in the senior manager's position, what are they looking for? They're looking for people who they know they can trust and deliver. And the only way they're going to know that is if you inform them of what you're capable of. And you don't have to walk into that meeting going, I'm awesome. This is what I can do. You can just do it very subtly. And you can just have the intention of going in those meetings and thinking, it's like this other project. I used to do this other project where we managed a digital TV station. And they're like, oh, I didn't even know you managed a digital TV station. That's really useful because actually over on my other work stream, we need someone just like you. So it's not...
I can see...
The intention is to help, right?
Yeah. And I can see how often when you're, as a project manager, certainly where you're moving across maybe different departments or different portfolios within a delivery organization, where the senior manager in that area has not been witness to all those projects you've delivered, and you're talking about them too, and you're going, and it does the double thing of, it gives you that external validation that that you'll what if you're trying to promote a course of action. Forget the fact that you want to promote yourself. You're trying to promote this course of action.
Yeah.
Add in the evidence, as you say. Right. I've done that before. We can do it. It'll work. I know it will. Has the extra effect of doing that. And actually, it is. And it's not Machiavelli, is it? It's not. You're not sneaky. You're just using it to do it. But it's just a way of thinking about it and framing it so that you actually consciously think of those opportunities that have the double whammy of validating what you're saying and helping that manager know what you're capable of. Because then they go, like you say, oh, I didn't know you're an expert in that technology. great, we've got that here. And it's kind of like you're sitting there going, well, on my company profile where it says all the skills and things I've done and the projects I've delivered, it says it at the bottom there that I've done product XYZ. Well, as you say, you've got James who he's talking to every day who's saying, well, yeah, when we did this and when we did that. It's just, as you say, the attention span of the senior leaders.
And it's not even it's principles of human behavior, right? As we said at the beginning, they're not reading your resume. They're not looking at your pet profile. In fact, they're never going to do it. And if they are, then there's something wrong, So it isn't Machiavelli in any way. It is about saying, and another thing also, when you're speaking to senior managers anyway, the way that they're thinking is reputation, I want to minimize risk. So if someone comes into this conversation saying they've done it 10 times before, they know exactly what they're doing, that is like great, that they're exactly who I want to be on this. The fact that you then have indirectly promoted yourself, if you want to use those words, is part and parcel of the course, but it's a win-win for everyone. So I think, again, it's, as you said, it's the frame and the mindset that you're going into those conversations, identifying, look, if I want to get further in my career, I need to build relationships with these people. James knew it. I didn't. He built the relationships with those people. And when certain things happened, he was the one that was visible and in front of mine, and he was being seen. And the professionals who are sort of slogging their guts out in their work are never going to get that visibility. And it's about really thinking strategically about how you go about your job. And so I think you have to, again, I come back to, you have to recognize that there are different behavior traits and different performance and different communication you need at that next level up. And once you're mastering those and doing those, it is a natural progression for you to become at that more senior level or in that role. And just remember, those senior managers, they are thinking about all the stuff that's going on in their world and their problems and their stresses and all of the stuff that you probably don't even know about. So they need help. They need your help to know how you can help them. So that self-promotion is done in a tactful, congruent way. You don't have to take on a different cultural style. It's just having the right tools to be able to do it that fits the environment that you're in.
Yeah, that's fascinating. It's that different framing of what you're thinking and the way you're doing it.
And what's great is, again, sort of people that I work with, most people aren't thinking like this at all. And from a sort of, from a personal perspective, when you are thinking, it's so powerful. It's so powerful because you're doing everything so much more intentionally. And there really is a lot of opportunity there for people who want to who sort of recognize that they can use sort of tools that are easily applied in the workplace and really progress their career in any direction that they want. I really do believe that.
That's brilliant. So we're just coming up on an hour now, which imagine you're surprised that we've got that. It flies by, doesn't it? It's kind of it's always, I find there's things when you're talking about a topic that you're passionate about, and the ones that I find interesting, time just seems to zoom. It's amazing, and all of us who want to move on our careers always want to try and do it. And I know you've got your events that you run, the Activate My Career Live stuff there. Do you want to just quickly have a chat about that so people can hear about what you do there? Because I think it's the logical point of now, if people wanted to carry on the conversation or find out more, just give us a couple minutes of what that is.
Sure. So we run a masterclass, and the next one, if you go to activatemycareerlive.com, you'll be able to sign up for that masterclass. The masterclass is a 4-hour training session. It's free, and it actually takes you through this kind of process. The system to follow is applying some tools and strategies to follow this system, so that, as I said, you come in working hard, maybe getting frustrated, maybe careers plateauing, and really shifts, and it helps you sort of understand exactly those traits and behaviors and what you need to do to progress to the next level. And it's a really good place to start. It's a really good thing to do, because it's, once you start seeing these strategies, once you start experiencing that masterclass, you really can't go back to the way it was. And so it's really action oriented, it's very action focused, and professionals sort of going through that process get real value in that masterclass, so that they really understand what is needed to get to that next level. So it's really about getting, activating and getting opening that door and getting to that next level in your career.
Brilliant. So, and well, we'll put a link in activatemycareerlive.com in the website, isn't it?
Yeah, so the link's going to be on the page, but it's activatemycareerlive.com.
Yeah, cool. And I think I've signed up for one on the 22nd to pop along and have a listen myself.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah. So, and it's a really good, it's very experiential. So it's not 4 hours of talking at you. It's a very experiential masterclass. And as I said, you sort of coming from one sort of headspace, and you go out with a completely different one. So it's a really, really good thing to do. And I look forward to seeing everyone there.
Yeah, that'd be really good. So other than that, if people wanted to get in touch with you, wanted to carry on the conversation, what's the best way to get hold of you?
I would either go to LinkedIn, go to my LinkedIn profile. That's probably the best place to get me. Or my YouTube channel or Facebook. And I think that the links will probably be under this video.
Yeah.
But yeah, just search for Laura Chattington on LinkedIn and you'll be able to find me there. And very happy to answer any questions, for sure.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Well, Laura, thank you very much. I think we could have chatted for another couple of hours. It's a fascinating topic, and it's kind of one that I think anyone in those management roles can, at different points in careers, we've hit those plateaus, and I guess it does that kind of. I'm doing a step here for the people who are listening. Kind of steps that where it'll plateau, and then there'll be something extra that you need to do to get to the next level. And it's a continuing learning journey. Same with all techniques, isn't it? I suppose.
Yeah, it really is, and it's and your audience is very close to my heart. So I have experience of the challenges that they face, and it really is about getting to that next level and doing it in a way that works for you. So it was a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Brilliant. Well, thanks very much, and have a fantastic rest of your evening.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bye now. So this is my final wrap up. Every week you're going to hear this. You're going to get bored of it, but you can always click next podcast if so. If you have enjoyed it, if you listen to this podcast to the end of this show and you think that was great, I'd love to be able to help Nige out. There are loads of ways you can do it. The first and obvious way is to share the podcast. Send it out to people. If you know colleagues and friends who'd benefit from it, you think they'd enjoy it, just send them the link. Grab one of the links or send them to www.nigelcreaser.com/podcasts. That's www.nigelcreaser.com/podcasts, and that will push them over to a Linktree link, and it's got all of the different ways they can consume the podcast. If you are feeling generous and have a big bag of cash, you could grab a copy of one of my books. Obviously, they're available in all the usual places, in print and digital. Again, jump on the website, www.nigelcreaser.com/shop, and that will give you a list of all the different ways that you can contribute and grab copies of the book. Also got links to all my guests' books on there as well, where I get a little bit of a kickback from them. If you are of a sporting mind, I have a number through doing some of my judo and running antics. I've managed to secure a few affiliate links and affiliates there as well. So in there, somewhere in the sponsors page, there's links to those as well. So clicking onto those and grabbing if you're looking to get super fit, then that would be fabulous as well, and I get a little kickback from those. I have a Patreon account. It's patreon.com/sundaylunchpm. So again, you can ping something in there, buy me a coffee or whatever. And finally, obviously the most important is coming back, listen again, because the more of you that come back, the more visibility I get, because there's more times that it's downloaded and all the SEO works and things like that. So yeah, that's it. So if you can help me out, I would be much appreciated. If you can't, don't worry about it. Thank you very much. Cheers now. Bye. Well, it's goodbye from me, Nigel Creaser, and it's goodbye from him, the Sunday Lunch PM. Goodbye.